incident for today. It's the Hall Canyon incident. So the Ventura County Fire Department is telling us that a caller has stated that they have a release of an unknown amount of crude oil from an unknown source flowing down Hall Canyon Creek. The oil release is still ongoing, and it is not contained. The caller stated the fire department is on the scene investigating the release, and the release is flowing into the Prince Barranca, which is dry, and the flow has reached the Pacific Ocean. No cleanup actions have been implemented at this time, and we are going to be implementing the initial response to this spill. Okay, so here are our groups, and I apologize, this is not printed out, so please take photos of this so you remember what groups you're in, or the leader of the groups should take the photos. So I am going to be the incident commander today. The NRDA liaison is going to be Colleen. Joseph, you are going to be the chief safety officer. Nick, you are going to lead the wildlife branch. Kurt, you're going to be our decon team lead. And David, you're going to be our Sandy Beach twig leader. So those are our main group leaders. So I'll be kind of talking to you guys a little bit about what specifically your roles are going to be in this response. So this is the incident command and safety sheet that Joseph is kind of going to go over, and we have these printed out for you to kind of go over, Joseph. And so here is the objective for the wildlife team. So someone on the wildlife team, please take a photo of this so you know what the objective and the procedures are once we get out into the field. But to summarize, the main objective is to survey for live and dead birds, to collect those birds and transport them to an appropriate facility, and we have the gear you'll be using to transport them. We are going to be giving you plastic bags, which if we were at an actual spill, you would not be using plastic because the plastic in the bag could distort the plastic signal on the bird. So just note that this is not up to protocol what we're doing today in terms of that. The tarball sampling group is going to be given glass containers, and you're going to be looking for tarballs on the beach to determine if the oil signature matches that of the pipeline rupture or wherever the oil is coming from in our incident today. Oh, sorry, I'll go back for people to take a photo. Okay, does someone in the tarball sampling group have a photo of this? Okay, cool. And then we have the pore water sampling group, so you guys are gonna be obtaining samples of pore water to get the total amount of hydrocarbon in the pore water area. Typically, we would have you also sample the water in the nearshore environment, but because we don't have kind of waders and boots and stuff like that, we're just going to be doing pore water today. Does someone have the photo of it that's in the pore water group? What's pore water? It's like the interstitial water that's like down.
You get to dig a hole.
Yeah, you get to dig a hole. Oh, and so here is kind of getting into pore water. So when we quantify the injury, we're looking at the concentration of hydrocarbon in the pore water, the concentrations in the invertebrates that are in the sand, the change in invertebrate population, and then the recovery time, how long it takes for the beach to get back to where it was at baseline. And one interesting thing, I know Colleen was talking about how sometimes the response itself can have impacts to wildlife, and this is one example that the sandy beach habitat is often impacted because we're going up and we're gonna remove wrack or like the seaweed and eelgrass that washes up on the beach, and the beach often doesn't have any plants, so that's where all the invertebrates are getting all their food, is from the beach rack. So when you're removing all the oiled beach rack, you're leaving the inverts with no food, and then that leads to a die-off in inverts, which has impacts on the birds and everything. So that's one of the kind of largest impacts actually to the sandy beach habitat, and that comes from the remediation itself, which I thought was interesting. And then so here is a example collection summary form. I don't know, we're still figuring out if you guys are actually going to be filling out the data sheets. Usually you'll have one person delegated as the person who's like writing everything down, so that way there's no cross-contamination. And then here is our area where we're going to be sampling, but one thing to note is that there are nesting snowy plovers on the beach, so we're going to be kind of sticking to the north side of the beach as to not impact them, and sticking to the pathways, the boardwalks, to get on and off the beach, and we'll talk more about that to ensure we're not having any negative impacts on them when we get down there. So does anyone have any questions? Yeah.